In 1996, people were not ready to form the union. They were afraid because there is no protection under the law for contract laborers. They can be kicked out any time and there is no protection under any law. So it's a challenge that when you are forming the union, that victimization should not take place, and this was the biggest challenge. So that's why we took almost 10 months to form the union, because we were talking to each and every ward, each and every worker across the length and breadth of Mumbai. So, and it was hardly 2 or 3% workers were literate, so you cannot give anything on a leaflet or pamphlet. They cannot read and write, so only communication was verbal communication, and the only place where you can talk to them is when they are traveling, when they are working, when they are loading the truck, or when they are unloading the truck. They feel that it's a waste of time talking to us. So only time when they were traveling we could talk to them, and this was a long drawn process. And the biggest challenge is you have to show patience. You cannot form the union in just 3 days or 4 days. It took us 10 months. Today the situation is different, because people have seen how people can get permanency, in our case in Mumbai or in Nasik or in Kolhapur, how the results are, and therefore people are not that reluctant to form the union. They are ready. So it has become little bit easier, but even the law structure has remained the same. Even today, if you form the union, if the contractor kicks out, for example in Nasik, the contractor was a politician. He was the vice president of Nationalist Congress Party, and we asked for minimum wages. So just for asking minimum wages, he kicked out 180 workers out of 350 workers on one day, and he threatened others that I will kick you out. And just because there is so much of poverty, there is so much of unemployment, he could get another 180 workers on the same day, who were in fact willing to work at lesser amount. At that point of time, the minimum wage was something around 3,600, and the workers were paid 1,800, meager 1,800. Half of this minimum wage was paid to these workers, and we had to fight for 22 months in Bombay High Court and then in Supreme Court to get our reinstatement. After that, all the workers who were sacked 22 months back, they got back into Nasik Municipal Corporation. But during this period, the fresh workers whom he had appointed, he once told each and every worker, almost 100 workers, that I will give you provident fund, I will give you insurance scheme, I will give you salary through banks. You have to sign the documents. And for each worker there was a file on which he took 10-15 signatures of these workers, and he said that okay, I will make you permanent. And then after winning in Supreme Court, we came back, and he was kicked out. That contractor was kicked out. 5 years down the line, all those 100 workers got a notice from a bank. The bank was situated in Panvel. Workers were from Nasik, and they got a letter saying that this is a final warning, that you all have taken loan to the tune of 10 lakh each from our bank, and you have neither repaid the principal amount nor interest. So the amount stands at around 15 lakh rupees, and this is the final notice. If you don't pay, we'll barge into your house and take away everything. Workers who were earning 1,800 rupees, they had signed for ESIS and PF. Those were, the contractor didn't tell them, but those were the signatures, and he bought 100 trucks in the name of 100 workers, and for buying those 100 trucks he had taken loan from the bank which he didn't repay. This is how things are going. Everywhere we find that all the contractors are connected with politicians or political parties, and the bureaucracy or the labor ministers, they are not interested in helping these contract laborers. Our main task is we file a case in High Court or in Industrial Tribunal for permanency, and at the same time simultaneously we fight for small things. For example, raincoat, shoes, hand gloves during rainy season, some increment, bonus during Diwali time, uniform, HRA, house rent allowance. So every time after 2 months or 3 months, we take one issue at a time and go after that issue, and we achieve something. So people have this sense that we achieve something. If you go for everything all out at once, there is a possibility that you may not get that, and there may be retaliation. So this is how we are taking one point at a time. And for example, in Mumbai, R.A. Rajiv, who was an IS officer, he was the additional commissioner of Mumbai Municipal Corporation, and he was not ready to pay, ready to give us rainy shoes. So हमने एक मोर्चा निकाला था. मोर्चा का नाम था जूते दे दो या हमसे जूते ले लो. वर्कर्स को हमने बोल के रखा था कि कचरे में जितने भी जूते, चप्पल, सैंडल मिलते हैं वो सब जमा करो, एंड वी विल गिफ्ट इट टू IS ऑफिसर R.A. राजीव. तो हमें जूते नहीं दिए, तो हमने मोर्चा निकाला विथ अराउंड 3-4,000 सैंडल्स एंड चप्पल्स एंड शूज, एंड वी garlanded R.A. Rajiv. So this is how we have to do. And immediately after this morcha, we got raincoat, shoes, everything. For example, in Mumbai, workers were not paid for 2 months, 3 months, and the reason was the paperwork was not completed by the authorities. So we had one morcha called Bhik Morcha. We begged on the streets of Mumbai in the name of Commissioner of Municipal Corporation. Since he doesn't have money, so we told people that you please pay, so that amount will be given to the commissioner, from which we'll get our salary. So every time, either symbolic or real fight. For example, one person who was working, that truck met with an accident. He fell down from the truck and he died. The contractor said, "He is not my worker," because contractors were not giving identity card, attendance card, salary slip. So in spite of working for 10-15 years, he had absolutely no proof that he is working there in Bombay Municipal Corporation for 10 years or 15 years. So the contractor said, "He is not my employee." BMC said, "I have never employed this person." So who will compensate? The act is there, Workmen Compensation Act is there, but who is my employer? That was the question. So we took the dead body to the municipal corporation and kept it in front of municipal commissioner's office for almost 4 hours. And then the mayor stepped in and he called the meeting of contractor as well as commissioner, and then he said, "Ki, this is really bad. A worker has died while on duty, so he must be compensated." And that is how we got first compensation from the contractor. Workers, they don't get any uniform, so they work on small shorts and banyan. So this is the working uniform that they work. So we took a morcha called Chaddi Banyan Morcha. So this is how you have to fight for each and everything. All the workers in Mumbai Municipal Corporation were paid less than minimum wage. So we had to fight for minimum wages. That fight took almost 6 months to get our minimum wages. Even today, those workers who have not joined the union, they don't get minimum wages. Everywhere in India you go, you will find that workers are paid less than minimum wage. Even today in Mumbai, the minimum wage is 348 rupees. But you will find workers who are not our members, they are paid 225 rupees. It means almost 120 rupees per person per day are taken away. This is a salary theft by contractors and corrupt officers of the Mumbai Municipal Corporation. For example, in Pune, this is the second largest city. Even today, workers are paid less than minimum wage. Not only that, women workers are paid further lesser. In Amravati, workers are paid half of minimum wage. Just now we had been to UP. Their workers are called Samvidha workers. Samvidha workers is another term used to so as the workers can be denied their legitimate rights. There is an act called Contract Labor Act. This act is applicable to the laborers. But in UP, Allahabad Municipal Corporation has employed around 300 contract laborers. But on paper, each and every individual contract laborer is shown as contractor. when they call Savidha worker, they say he is not a laborer, he is a contractor himself. And further, the authorities will say that law is applicable to the laborer and not to the contractor. In Mumbai, for example, there is a pattern called Hyderabad pattern, which was introduced during Telugu Desam regime in Hyderabad. What is his name? Chandrababu Naidu's regime, and it is called as Hyderabad pattern. What is this Hyderabad pattern? If you have 20 or more workers, you will have to pay Provident Fund, you will have to pay ASIS. So in each unit, keep just 18 workers. To deny them their legitimate rights, call these workers as volunteers and call the contractor as NGO. So this Hyderabad pattern is adopted by Mumbai Municipal Corporation, and there are around 6,000 workers who are working in Mumbai, and they are called as volunteers, and the contractors are called as NGOs. So if you go and ask for your rights, they will say these are not workers, these are volunteers. And if a volunteer, for any reason, if he doesn't come to work, he is fined 1.5 times of his salary. So if you are a volunteer, how can you be fined? You are supposed to be on duty at 6:30. If you are late, you are fined. If I am a volunteer, I will come maybe in the afternoon, maybe in the evening, I may not come also, but then that's not allowed. You have to come and you have to report at specific time. In Gujarat, they have shown them as NGOs, Sakhi Mandal for women and Mitra Mandal for men. They are paid even less than minimum wages. In Bhopal, workers are working for last 15 years. They have to work all 30 days of the month, but they are marked present for first 25 days. And the last 5 days they have to work, but their attendance is not marked. So this is a gap of 5 days. And then again on the first day of the next month, they are shown as the fresh recruits. So this is why, because if you work for 240 days, you can claim permanency. You can claim, that doesn't mean you get it automatically, but at least you have some ground to claim permanency. So to deny that, workers are forced to work all 30 days, but they are marked present only for first 25 days. Last 5 days are shown as gap. The most unfortunate part is all the permanent workers who are working in different corporations or Jilla Parishad or Taluka Panchayat, they have their unions. So permanent workers, they have their unions, but unfortunately these unions are not interested in doing something for contract laborers. So contract laborers are always required to form their separate unions. To form a separate union itself is a very difficult task, because you need somebody who is an outsider. Because generally what happens, all the workers who are involved in this type of activity, mainly they are illiterate or literate up to second or third standard. If you have to maintain the ledgers, the type of paperwork that is required to maintain the union accounts and union, there are certain musters and registers to be maintained. This cannot be done by workers themselves, so they need outsider. The corporations, their principal employers, the government is not at all interested in doing anything for these workers. Our experience is this, that we don't get any cooperation from corporators, because all the contractors are attached to corporators, and when they don't pay minimum wages, when there is a wage theft, these contractors who are their own pets, they are benefited. So the corporators are not interested in helping these workers. Permanent workers union is not interested. The state bureaucracy machinery is not interested. Now all the contractors are paying less than minimum wages. Now there are contractors who are also from the Dalit community, but since contractors are also from Dalit community and workers are also exclusively from the Dalit community, those Dalit contractors are not paying minimum wages which they get from the corporation. They are not passing it on to workers. They are giving only half of it. So the question is, all the permanent workers, they are also Dalits. This is a fact. I don't say that this should remain like this, but the fact is, at the moment only Dalits do this work, and as I said earlier, nobody has questioned why only Dalits should do that. In contract system also, only Dalits are working. So Dalit is a constant feature whether you are a contract laborer or as a permanent worker. So what separates them? It is their status as permanent employee and status as contract laborer. So it is a class which separates them. One section is a permanent, another section is contract. And contract laborers, as per our government thinking, is there to exploit. So they are exploiting, each and everyone is exploiting, even the indirectly the workers who are permanent workers are benefited, because in 6,000 workers they are working at 7,000 rupees in Mumbai Municipal Corporation, whereas permanent workers are getting 25,000 salary. So you are getting 25,000 salary because somebody is working at a lesser amount. In fact, they should fight for these workers, then only they will be able to sustain their jobs. Otherwise any corporation will think, why to spend 25,000 when we are getting person at 7,000 or 6,500. Women workers are generally paid even lesser than those who are paid less than minimum wage. Suppose if a man is working at 180 rupees, which is much lesser than minimum wage, the women workers doing exactly same nature of work will be paid 130, 40, 20 rupees depending on the situation. So they are paid less than minimum wage. It's a very strenuous work, and on many occasions we find that their kids, they don't go to school, they can't afford schooling. Today schools have also become, education has become a business, and everywhere you find that new schools are coming. Not a single new school is a government aided school where you can where any child can go. So this is the situation, and they don't have their own place to live. They live in juggi jhopdis, which are illegal, which are demolished at least 3 to 4 times a year. So this is how their plight is, their condition is, their living condition is very bad. If you go to Devnar dumping ground, you will find that a hut of 10 feet by 10 feet without light, without water connection, without WC, just having tin sheet and maybe tarpaulin on the top, the rent is 3,500. Now the worker who earns 7,000 or 6,500 spends almost half of it on rent. A 10 by 10, no water connection, no electricity, no WC, is costing 3,500 at Devnar dumping ground. So this is the situation. So the entire family has to work. Now we say that child labor should not be employed, but all the children, they are going at Devnar dumping ground and doing rack picking work, collecting everything what they can sell from the garbage, and this is how they are working. If you see at Devnar dumping ground, small kids, they run after the trucks and jump into the truck because they know that this particular truck is coming from, it is carrying the hotel waste, and when they unload that all what is coming from the hotel waste, they eat from that, they collect and eat things from that. But these are invisible people. Nobody wants to stop for a minute and talk to them, because even their body stinks because of the nature of the work. So nobody has got time, and unless and until media projects their difficulties, how can common man will also know? Because people don't have time. And see, these workers are working all 30 days. Has anybody realized? The entire middle class is employing somebody as household worker, domestic help. The middle class wants 5 days a week. What about 5 days a week or 6 days a week for their domestic servant? And whatever success stories are there, they generally don't get reflected in media, because media is not at all interested in stories of such workers. They are not at all interested. So people even don't know that we fought in Mumbai for almost 10 years and we got permanency for 1,200 workers in Bombay Municipal Corporation, but no one knows. Just now we got an order in Industrial Tribunal for 2,700 contract laborers of Mumbai Municipal Corporation. They are there to be made permanent with effect from 2007. But this news has not appeared on any television channel or in any mainstream media, newspapers. So people also don't know that such and such thing has happened. Yes, workers have started fighting. They are forming their unions. In Nasik, they are fighting for last almost 15 years. We have formed the union. In Kolhapur, as I said, we have formed the union. In Solapur, we are trying to form the union. In Thane, we have formed the union. In Mumbai, we have formed the union. That is how we are trying to help workers in other cities and expand this work of organizing. We had been to some different states also, where we are trying to tell people that after 10 years of fight, we have one in Bombay Municipal Corporation. We have given them our all legal documents and court orders, and we are telling them, encouraging them to form the unions. Unless and until we do this, it's not going to change, because as I said, the thrust is not on the person who is cleaning the streets. The thrust of the present Modi government is all shining India. They want shining India at the cost of these workers. What Swachhata Abhiyan means is this: that those who are cleaning the streets for 10 minutes or 5 minutes in front of cameras, their photos are flashed, but those who are working, those who are keeping this Bharat clean for ages and ages, they are faceless and voiceless people. There are no unions. Laws are there, but laws are observed in breach, and in absence of any strong union, they don't get anything. What they get is only exploitation.